No, I would love to see, especially all of those products sold. I think what you're really asking, but not in so many words, is how do we see to it that people understand that herbal medicine is not a bottle of pills that you go and buy. It's not about herbal commerce. It's about using herbs to treat your simple problems and doing what I have been calling for 30 years complementary medicine. And I'm happy to see people picking that term up and using it. I'm not against drugs and surgery. Mm-hmm. I'm against drugs and surgery first.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. I have nothing against drugs and surgery. But if meditation will lower someone's blood pressure as much as drugs, and it takes a month on meditation and 3 weeks on drugs, I say, let's use the meditation. Now, maybe not everybody will respond. Well, then that subgroup will give the drugs to. But at least many fewer people. Oh, but you see, Susan, that does not move the wheels of commerce.
Right.
You must sell drugs. Right. You must sell product. Well, you were talking about being controversial and going out on a limb. Let me go out on a very teeny, tiny, tiny limb that I tend to inhabit pretty much alone in my community, and that is that I feel that it's unethical for any herbalist to sell herbs. Mm-hmm. Would we want to go to a doctor and have the doctor sell us drugs?
Right.
We don't. Can we really justify that herbalists should follow different rules than other healthcare professionals? We don't need a licensure to see what's ethical. And I think one of the reasons that herbalists are seen as unethical is because we sell products.
Right. Well, is that maybe because it's hard to find good herbal, maybe it's hard to find good herbal products, so people think that
I don't find it that difficult.
No.
I don't sell any herbal products of any kind.
Right.
And I recommend, if somebody says, well, you say I should use, say, poke root tincture, a very difficult item to get. You can't just go into a store and buy poke root tincture. I say, yeah, well, this place and this place and this place are making poke root tincture. And they're available, you can find them through my website, you can find them through my books. And I don't get any kickback from that. These are people who are making it. Here's where it's available. All right, so I don't need to procure it and buy it. Again, that's kind of one of the things that you and I are talking about, is talking about people being a little more responsible for their health.
Right.
Maybe not a lot more responsible, but at least a little more responsible, so that you don't have a cough, go to the drugstore and buy a drug to deal with your cough. You say to yourself, what's going on here? And what plant could I use? And how could I prepare it? You think a little bit about it, and you're with yourself, and you don't just exchange money for it. You exchange relationship for it. There's our word again. All right, because we want people to be more in relationship. I often say it's great that MDs are being more comfortable with herbs, but the revolution is when 3-year-olds use herbs.
Right. And I could show you on video my 3-year-old saying, show me plantain, and she goes up and says, here it is, and she chews it up.
There's no 3-year-old who can't learn to identify and use plantain, right?
That's right.
You were talking about Justine, my daughter. Ask her if she's an herbalist. What will she say? No, I'm not an herbalist. No. What does she use for her health? For if she has any problems? Herbs. Exclusively. Well, not exclusively. Reiki, chiropractic, but nobody uses herbs just exclusively. It's not like, I'm an herbalist, you can't touch me, massage therapist. No, we're like, here. Yes, massage, wonderful. We tend to be people who say, herbs and herbal medicine. It tends not to really be limited to that. There's a variety of things that go along with that.
And then saying you're an herbalist is saying you're a human who uses plants.
Exactly.
In their lives. And it's not a professional thing, or it's not a... Then we can all access the plants.
We can all access the plants. And I think it's important for there to be druggists, and I think druggists should be licensed, and I think drugs should have a set of standards that they have to come up to. Plants are never going to be able to do that. I was teaching up in Toronto, maybe 13, 14 years ago now, at the Toronto Opera House. It was a big presentation on menopause. And each one of the speakers, there was the woman who believed that all women should take hormones, the middle of the road woman, and then me. We each got, a certain length of time to tell our story to the 1,100 women gathered there, and then we got 5 minutes of time after everybody had spoken to say why the others were full of it. Right? And then we sat very politely at a table with microphones, and people came to microphones in the audience and asked questions. And the first couple of questions, any one of the three of us could have answered. But the third woman who came to the microphone had a list. She said, all right, I want to know about black cohosh, and I want to know where to get it, and I want to know what part of it to use, and I want to know how to use it, and I want to know how much to take, and I want to know what you think about it, and I want to know about wild yam. And she just, went right down her list, right? Well, the woman who thought every woman should take hormones was sitting next to me, and she took my microphone. She didn't use hers. She took mine, and she said, I will not let Susan answer that question. I mean, it's pretty obvious the other two weren't going to answer the question. She said, I wouldn't let Susan answer that question because there's no way that she can tell how much active ingredient you're going to get in those crude plants. And so long as they're not standardized, they're not safe.
I don't even know what a standardizer is.
She then handed the microphone back to me. Now, I had a little, shall we say, run-in with her. Right, before the show, and I had already had my kind of dander up about this one. Anyhow, she gave the microphone back to me, and I knew that she was a gynecologist and obstetrician. I turned to her and I said, thank you very much. That's absolutely true. There's no way for me to tell how much active ingredient there is in any crude plant, and it can vary enormously from one plant to another. I said, that's why you, as a conscientious gynecologist and obstetrician, keep careful watch on the amount of parsley that your clients eat, because it is, after all, an abortifacient. And while she was scraping her jaw up from the table, I proceeded to answer the woman's question. Because, you see, she doesn't think of parsley as a herb, does she?
Right. No. It was a culinarian.
But you and I know that parsley is, in fact, a really potent herb.
Right.
And one, in fact, that if juiced can cause kidney failure.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very, very strong.
I must have seen it at juice bars. They must put it in there. I'm sure they do.
They do, but it's not healthy for you.
No. Huh.
So, that kind of thing is, again, that's what gives us the 64 colors, isn't it? That's what gives us the big box of crayons. Yes, the yarrow that grows up there on the dry mountainside is different than the yarrow that's growing 1,000 feet lower down by the wet place.
Right.
It is, yeah, maybe Achillea millefolium, but like those South American shamans, we're going to say, yeah, but that's that yarrow, and that's this yarrow.
Yes.
And they can have slightly different effects, and we're going to know that, right, and be able to use that. So that then starts to approach, well, doesn't that mean that that person has more skill? Well, yes, but it's not skill, to my mind, that can be tested. In other words, my sister, who's a midwife, kind of showed me what happened when midwives undertook to license themselves in the United States and to set up licensure boards. And basically what happened was that every single thing they did had to be codified. So it had to say, if a woman went into labor and she wasn't this much dilated within this many hours, then the woman had to transport her to the hospital. And if this happened and the midwife didn't do this within this much amount of time, all right. But that doesn't give any room for the individual situation.
No.
Or the individual woman.
No, not at
all. Which is part of why we want a midwife, and definitely why we want to be herbalists.
Right.
Right.